Hey, 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 welcome to the Scorpio channel. I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio, but I'm also going to do a message for my winner. So, energy is fluid. The message always goes to the person that needs to hear the message. It's just the way that it works, especially on this channel where I like to dive deep within the reading. I do look at everything, but we take more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play it as karmic themes to help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is. That's really important when you're dealing with shadows. So I always ask the person that I'm doing the reading for if they have any specific questions for me. And because to direct the reading, even though I could probably channel it, but I found it interesting. Now, all the readings, I never say the person's name or anything like that. Um, but I found it very interesting because when I was reading the questions, a lot was like she said, if I sound redundant, like because she asked a few times, like, when am I gonna let go? When am I gonna forgive? When am I gonna meet somebody? Will so and so come back into my life? Like, it was a lot of fear. That's so. First of all, I only say that because it's like we have to be mindful when we are trying to manifest our, like, certain things in our life. Is the language that we use. And all I heard through the email was a lot of fear, like, will this person come back, or am I going to meet somebody? Like, is that possible? Am I open for love? Am I healed enough for love? I'm not going to read the email, but like that was pretty much the contents of the email, which it was a lot of uncertainty, where at this point the person's up in their mind. It's like, I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to find the answer, you can hear the fear. So there's only two energies, love and fear, and understand there's a God part of self and there's a dust part of self. A dust part of self and a deity part of self. The deity part of self is the part of us that when you're tapped in psychically, claircognizance, clairsentience, you just feel, I feel, then that's the spirit part of self. The spirit part of self is the all-knowing part of self. It's the energy that's the same vibration as unconditional love. However, there's a dust part of self that goes through experiences, and those experiences that are traumatic, make us like perceive ourselves through that experience. So all I heard through the entire email was, I've had a lot of bad relationships that's not working out. Is it ever gonna work out? And like, now, anytime you ask, am I going to have so and so come back into my life, or am I going to meet someone else? It's like, you don't know what you want. You don't really believe that the person's going to come back into your life. There's a fear of that because that person has already betrayed you several times. And when a person has betrayed you several times, what winds up happening is like there's a sense of kind of like not believing it can happen. So I was just going to tell, I need to explain this to you, even though you may say, why all this talking? Because when you are focused on what you're afraid is going to happen, you push away what you want in your life. It's like, here it is, like there's a lot of uncertainties. So you're not healed. When you said, am I healed for love? The first question is, no, you're not. Because it shows that you're not strong within yourself. And again, there's a God part of self. Remember, and that's the all-knowing, that's the strong part of self. And that's the all-knowing part of self. And that part of self needs to be fed more. And that's through passions, finding your passions. Understand why this is because I can already feel that you give way too much time and attention to a person once you begin to date them. You have to make a person get to know you. You have to hold a little bit of the mystery. People get bored fast. It has nothing to do with you. You're a highly sensitive person, and highly sensitive people, they care a lot. They're, again, they don't care a little bit, they care a lot, and they can overgive. And so understand you don't want to do that in the beginning of a relationship. So it's not that, can you have love? Of course you can have love, but you're fragmented. You can feel that there's parts of yourself that's like, I don't really believe I can have love because I've already gone through the experience a few times and this person really kind of hurt me and now I don't really trust. So that's the anxiety. That was all through, like you said, the email. That's what I heard, where it's like, I don't, I believe that it can happen, but I don't believe that I'm ready. And I feel like once a person has taught you not to trust, because you asked whether that person's going to come back into your life, it's like, or will you be? That person would let you into their life back and forth, but would never give you more. And there's a sense of, not because there's something wrong with you, however, you feel as if there's something wrong with you. And so you display that in the fact of how much space you let a person in your life, how much you give them, and that you gave this person a lot. So and so like goes to like, right? So you're a mirror of whom what comes into your life. There's a belief of not really being able to have love. This person then comes into your life, doesn't show you love, and then, but then wants to keep an energetic connection to you, which is, again, that's still emotionally saying that you can't have what you want. And that's the belief. That's what I don't like. That's the wound. That's the karmic pattern that keeps playing out for you. It's like, emotionally, I never get. And so we're going to see. A lot of times I channel and then I pull cards after and it just confirmed. I kind of do things backwards, but it's just, understand, it's that there's many different realities that play out at one time. So when you're asking me, is this what's going to happen? You're the creator of your life. You're the alchemist of your life. But there's a sense that you don't believe that you are. You don't trust you. You know you're healed when you can say, I can trust me. There's a lack of connection to the physical body, the physical world, all physical elements of the physical world. So you're going to be more spiritual, more sensitive, more. And what are you going to do? You're going to care about other people's feelings and you're going to give them as much as you would want, because you say, hey, this is what I would want. I try to treat people the way I want to be treated, So I'm going to overgive. But Spirit says, look at you giving away all that. That person didn't earn that. You want to treat them the way you want to be treated, but you were never treated nice. So here it is. Look at how much you feel like you need. So they don't deserve that. You deserve that. Meaning you have to pour in your own cup, because you say, how will I know when I'm healed? That would be your next question. Though you didn't ask that question. And so, because you'll know when you're healed, when you're full of passion of life, when you're like, I'm having a good time in my life. Things are happening for me. I know I have, I'm in my body, meaning I'm grounded. I'm in here in the moment. And when I'm calm, I have peace of mind. And I feel good about my life. It's like I'm in passion for life. I filled my cup up all the way without someone coming in. And that's through hobbies, interests, passions, because Spirit says, hey, I don't just work through you through gut intuition and a knowing. I work through the environment to bring you the people, situations, experiences. I change your mind and your heart. You are stuck in the same karmic loop. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And that's all of you. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And Spirit says, it happens. You want to believe that it's going to happen. And that's through embodying it. And that's only through seeing yourself differently. And that only happens through doing something different. You know when you're ready, when you're having a really good time in life. And that's through, doesn't mean that life is so easy and that you don't have to work all the time. It means that you're fulfilled. You have other things that, are emotionally feeding you. So you're not an empty well. So that you're like not giving someone the entire enchilada tray that they didn't deserve. They deserved maybe like a tic tac, and here you are bringing them like a 10-course meal. And it's like because they didn't earn it. It's like, and you're like, I just want to treat people the way I want to be treated. The spirit says they didn't earn that, and you're not healed. So you give away too much, and there's because there's a lack of belief. I don't believe it can really happen. And spirit says, and I feel that. And spirit says, how do you think that it's not going to happen when I'm inside of you as a gift of the Holy Spirit, which is made of unconditional love? That's all I am, is unconditional love. There is no separation between you and me. You are the higher self. There's a deity part of self. That's the God part of self that you and me are tapped into right now. It's called empathy, sensitivity. Claircognizant spirit says there's no separation. Your perception is that it's separate. So you have to again embody it. You're fragmented from being in relationships where you get gaslighted and you get treated badly because again you're unconsciously telling that person that you don't have to treat me nicely, even though you're like, no, I'm treating them nicely because I want to be treated nicely. And spirit says, you know that. It's like you have to make a person like again work for it. Otherwise they don't appreciate it. And it's only because you're coming from that place of fear. So can it happen? Of course it's going to happen. But not the way you're doing it. Spirit says your reality is this is the same thing that's going to happen. I don't really believe that's going to happen. And spirit says, oh, you do my job. Look at this person doing my job. The universe says they're not all knowing. The universe is all knowing. The spirit says, you don't know what you're doing. You're limited in your perception. Spirit says, and your job is just to be like childlike. And are you? No. What are you? You're worried about everything. So you're in a place of fear. So nothing is going to come of good. That's that. Because you're in fear. I don't really believe that it's going to happen. The spirit says, don't do my job. I know what you want more than you know what you want. But there's a lack of faith. And then you're like, because I live these experiences. And spirit says, yes, but you can make a new experience out of a similar situation. There's many different realities that play it at one time. You're stuck in a karmic loop. And that's why this is important for you. The answer is not yes or no. The answer is, hey, there needs to be healing, integration here. And that integration is, hey, what am I doing wrong? And if you give away everything, God says, where's that second chakra? The second chakra is your unique individuality. It's who you perceive you are. It's the birthing center. Well, it's your individuality. We can go with the flow of life when we're in the passion for life. That second chakra is also the passion center. So spirit says, I need you to birth something new of yourself. Create something, become yourself. It's again the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. We're all David going up against Goliath. God says, don't do my job, do your job. Just be like childlike. Don't have again, negative thoughts about yourself and what you think you can have. See, the world will push you into the logical, analytical mind, which will tell you that you're not enough, you don't have enough, you're not good enough, you're limited. And that's what needs to be healed. That first chakra, like I said, which is the connection to the earth, connection to your ancestors, connection to your physical self. And so you heal that. And that's through healing, through getting a better body-mind connection. So right now we know that you probably suffer with anxiety and depression, the ups and downs and the ups and downs and the ups and downs, which happens when you have a root chakra imbalance. Why? Because the adrenals are right there, and with a lot just the internalization of overthinking of fear causes that fight, flight, freeze, which triggers the nervous system. So then we get stuck in stupid, and that's because I don't really believe. And God says, you have a poor connection to me because I'm inside of you, but you don't really believe. So you have to grow that faith, and that's through getting a stronger connection to yourself. And you don't really know who you are. You're walking around thinking that your experiences or whatever people have said, where you have to create yourself is and become yourself, and that's through going out and into the world, because through that you get to see yourself differently, because new people will treat you differently through who you are today, not who you are at the past. So that's how you heal that first chakra. It's like it's all about getting a better foundation to yourself, and because that's how you get a better connection to God. So doing things like meditation, doing things like yoga to train the nervous system, body mind work, somatic healing, doing that, that would lead you to your soul's purpose. If you really want to know, get the reading. It's not just about relationship. I know I just talk about relationship, but for this particular person, it's not just about relationship. It's about, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. And Spirit says again, that's through your passion for life. And so if you haven't figured that out, Spirit says you'll always give too much then. And then you'll never get what you want, because you have to make a person want it. You have to make a person kind of like the mysterious. It's the person that accents your life. They're not the main course. You are supposed to fill your own cup up, and that's through your passion for life, and that's through your soul's purpose. And that connects you to your really the physical world, because it's about giving and receiving of love through your free will, where you're like, I don't really know what that is. And Spirit says it starts with yourself, healing yourself. And then it's again, you have to, do these things for yourself. So again, better body mind. So you could become a body mind coach. Again, everyone starts off as a disaster, but mastery comes in doing. So again, to get to and one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. You'd say, well, I thought I was going to be a coach, but then I wound up going to this class and I met this person, and then I wound up, this was the healing modality was better for me. And it's life happens, but it's through investing in yourself first, is what Spirit's saying. And that because you have to heal that, you have to reparent that. And so you can't go back in time. It's like, so you do it for yourself, and that's better habits, better behaviorisms of short-term goals, long-term goals, and definitely a better connection to the body, because of the anxiety, the nervousness of already believing that that's not going to happen. And so again, because you have to recondition your mind and your body, but the mind and body are self-healing organisms. It's the way that we're made. So again, to recondition, because you don't want to be reactionary from experiences. Oh, well, I went through that experience, so I got nervous and I just reacted. That's what you'll see with a root chakra imbalance, reactionary behavior. Why? Because the neurological pathways of living in that experience more than one time, it's just been automatic. So it's automatic. And so it's like, I don't trust myself. That's what it comes down to. And Spirit says, well, that's again because the second chakra is off, which is all about your unique individuality, who you perceive you are. And that's when you heal through your soul's path. You become yourself. You get the story of who you think you are, then there's a real story of who you truly are. Otherwise, you don't have a real relationship with the universe. You don't have the real relationship with God or spirit or any of it. And you don't really feel as connected, because not one person will ever fulfill you. And how are you going to train a person on how to treat you if you're always around? You have to fulfill yourself. Remember that. Otherwise, you're giving too much away. When meanwhile, you're sensitive, and sensitives can be mysterious. Sensitives could be like, I'm not going to tell you everything because I don't have to tell you everything. And I emotionally fill my own cup up. So this way, you always want more from me. It's like, again, because that's how you have to train a person to respect you. It's not about love, it's about respect. You get people, again, they say they love me because I'm so nice, but it's like, then, but again, they don't treat you nicely. So it's, again, it's the way that you treat yourself. So you have to make a person do it. And it's not done the where it's like, oh, I'm going to purposely make you do it. It's human nature that if we always have something available, we don't really want it. We don't really appreciate it. We all know those certain people that are a little snobby that are like, well, let's see if you're going to belong to my club. You're only allowed in there on every other Friday, and you have to wear like your hair a certain way, and all these rules, and people actually do it, and you're like, what the fuck? How are these people? And it's like, oh, because they hold to a certain standard, and they let me into the club, then I'm seen as that standard too. I'm a little duck behind the big duck. It's where it's perception, and it's just human nature. So it's not about playing games. You see, if I'm really in the passion for my life, where I'm giving and receiving of love through my free will and connecting to people and feeling of purpose, like how I'm contributing to humanity, that's again connected to the physical body, the physical world, by giving and receiving of love. Well, I'm not paying attention to you over there. I don't care that you have a problem, that you don't like my shirt today, or you don't like what I had to say, or you don't agree with me. You didn't really hurt my feelings. You know why? Because all these other people didn't care. So I'm going to direct my energy here. I'm not going to give this person anything. So when they play the games, those games that people like to play, you don't pay attention. When you're showing them, you'll be replaced. Because I got all these people over here. So if you're going to act like an ass, I'm going to redirect. Because emotionally, my cup is full already, you see? It's like, so I may like you, but you won't take me the fuck down. It's like, because my cup is already full. So you're going to try and do whatever you do, but I have discernment because you're not that close up to me. I see you. And so I see when your patterns are different. So I don't need to ask. I can see you from a mile away what you're going to do and how you want to do it, because we all have discernment. But if you're so close up to the picture, I love this person, I love this person, what else can I do? You don't see anything. And then you've also taught the person, you don't have to do anything for me because I love you that much. I'm always going to be available for you. You can call me every other weekend and I'll always talk to you the full amount of time that you want to talk. I think I'm being smart because I never reach out to you. They don't care. It's like every time they come around, you want to talk, though, that tells them something. And here it is, you're like, and I'm not giving anything, and I've waited the whole time. I'm just giving them exactly what they give me. So that's it. Hey, Kim and Diane. So understand, it's like we tell people and show people is what I'm trying to tell you. Those are a few ways that you were doing it. Is that, and you didn't mean to do it. And so that's the second chakra where Spirit's saying, you see, we're out of balance. Balance. We can go with the flow of life because I'm in the passion for life. So it doesn't matter about what you're doing or what's happening. And I never lose my balance because things are going to happen. And God says, you're not in charge of what happens. You're only in charge of how you handle things. Remember that. So, hey, I'm fully balanced and I'm ready for anything that comes my way because I'm co-creating with Source. with the higher self, the all-knowing, claircognizance, universal language. So when I'm balanced on giving and receiving of love and I'm co-creating, I'm filled with love and I'm actually seeing. And now that means I'm always getting the divine guidance. And only in the now do you get divine guidance. So when you sit there and worry and ruminate and do this, Spirit says, you haven't shut up. I can't get a word in edgewise. I tried to tell you on the way home, but you had the radio blasting and you were talking to yourself in the car about the I can't get a word in edgewise. It's like, so it's again, that's trained behavior. That's a root chakra issue. That's also a second chakra issue. The emotional center. That's the second chakra. It's like out of balance. God says, oh, the emotions are off. Look, the emotions are off. It's like, well, you're like, well, look what happened. This is what happened. Spirit says, oh, look. It's like, why so we're not balanced? So Spirit says it's not about giving that person the power. If you have your power, you're able to, again, put it in the right perception. And it's the second chakra where, like I said, we're able to go with the flow. And that leads us to the third chakra, which is the God center. Only in the now do you get divine guidance. So don't ruminate. Don't try and figure things out. You may say, well, I have a problem when I have anxiety. I can't tell the difference. Is it anxiety or is it intuition? Intuition comes on randomly and there's a call to action right after. Anxiety just won't shut up. And so if you feel like I can't get myself to stop it from shutting up, then Spirit says, do the Silver Ultra Mind method. You have to recondition the way that you learned how to deal with stress. Because remember, you're holding on to the energy vibration. You might change your mind, but that body says, well, you trained me, darling, for the past however many years. So now we have a body-mind disconnection. And then you're saying, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself because, sometimes my body likes to do things and I like to say things where it's like I can't help it. And so that's conditioned from your environment, root chakra imbalance, fear, grew up in fear. So again, that's why the karmic imprint keeps playing out, which can I have love? And God says, are you making up your own rules as we go along? Because it's again, you are love. So that's impossible for you not to have love when you are love. But you're blocking yourself. And it's fear, but that's not real. It's from those experiences that you live through. And that's why your soul's path will be what heals you, because that's when you're co-creating with the universe. And again, you say, well, how are we going to get there? And God says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Don't do my job. Do your job. Be like childlike. Don't worry. As one door closes, another door opens. No one can take what's yours. Only you can give up what's yours. Again, stay on your path. It's again, when you stay on your path, you don't abandon yourself. People want you to abandon yourself. Don't abandon yourself. You must love yourself. That's the first chakra again. And the second chakra. Third chakra is that God center. Fourth chakra is again giving and receiving of love through your free will. Spirit says, you're not doing that. It's like we're caught up in a lot of other things because there's that fear of, well, is it ever going to happen? Am I ever going to be okay? Am I ever going to make enough money? Is there ever going to be? And God says, snap out of it, Alice. It's like if you were right there, smack you across the face. You're stuck in stupid. You're stuck in fear. It's again, be like childlike. It takes a mustard seed, make it multiply. Give and receive of love. That money has no energy except for the energy you give it. It's how much love you're putting into something. You're wasting a lot of time in this fear energy because of the trauma that you grew up in. So can you make money enough to travel? That was a question. If you can imagine it, you can create it, but not the way you're doing it. You have to heal. It's again, Otherwise, there's a belief like, I don't really believe that it can happen. It's like, because this is what I've witnessed, this is what I've embodied, this is what I've saw, and I've embodied it. So, and God says, well, you have to embody the new consciousness in order for it to be healed, meaning you got to see yourself different to erase that energetic vibration. Otherwise, you're only going to attract that type of vibration to you, which is telling you what you feel about yourself, which is lack, limitation. I'm not good enough. I might not have enough. I'm not really lovable. I'm not really sure. And Spirit says, which all those things are out of alignment with universal law, because you have to be in alignment with universal law. And it starts by loving yourself. Yeah, I don't make broken. The universe says, I don't make broken. You think of that, oh, that person had one arm. And God says, yeah, that's the way that they were supposed to be. That's part of their soul's path. Yep, they had to overcome that spiritual lesson. And you had to overcome making money. Your bank account doesn't look that great. But one arm Harry over there, he's rich. He's rich. He's got a ton of money. He could actually buy 1,000 other arms. He doesn't care. That was, again, his limitation. So again, it depends on what you're going to do with it. The guy that had the 1 foot won the Olympics. So, but they said, oh, you can never win the Olympics. You want to run? Oh, you got 1 foot. Didn't matter. Spirit says there's many different realities that play it at one time. But the way that you're playing it, it's again, you're stuck in, there's a belief, and you have to embody the new consciousness in order for it to heal. And that brings you up to the the throat chakra, which is God made the world with his voice. You too can make the world with your voice. If you're grounded and you're in your passion for life and you're being led by, again, your gut, you're doing what you love, then you speak your truth. You're able to ask for what you need. Then you're able to see the opportunities. You don't see anything. You're blocked in your third eye. It's like, and then you're grounded when you get the crown chakra, which is, I got the divine guidance. I don't know how I knew. I just knew that I was supposed to do this, that it was going to work out. And Spirit says, yes, then you're in alignment with the universe, but you're out of alignment with the universe. So I'm not telling you to scare you. I mean, this is a healing channel. And thankfully, there's many different realities. So we have to set ourselves up for success. And for you that has that root chakra in balance, I would say, create a daily practice, one that does where you better get a connection to your physical body, because that, when it didn't feel good when you were younger, because you grew up in an environment that wasn't supportive, because you wouldn't have had all that. So it was easier for you to just be in your head and to be like safe. So again, what helped you survive now is going to actually stunt you from thriving. You don't want that. So again, we want to be present. We want to be in the moment. We want to be in the now. And then the easiest way to do that is to be in the passion for life. You may say, I don't really know what they are because I wasn't allowed to figure that out. I wasn't like childlike. And Spirit says, well, now is the time. It's like, what calls to you? Where do you lose your time, your energy, your focus, and your money? Where is, again, what interests you? Where grows you? And you say, well, I like the healing stuff. And Spirit says, well, you also need the healing stuff. So again, remember, it's your story. It's all about making lemonade out of the lemons, sometimes, because you say, well, these are broken. I got nothing here. And Spirit says, what, are you kidding? God displays its glory through the most broken. It's like, but you got to help out. So it starts by doing what you need to do for yourself. And that's a better connection, because Spirit says you don't love yourself enough. So you have to reparent yourself. And you also, by doing that, that teaches people, hey, this is how I treat myself, so I expect nothing else. That if I don't expect you to come into my life and treat me worse than I treat myself. I hold to a certain standard. And it also makes time for your spiritual health, tapping into yourself, better connection to yourself, and set up small term goals, long term goals. Root chakra and balance means everything that you need, you have inside, you have all the tools, but you are supposed to utilize everything that's in your environment to help create yourself. And so look on the internet, let your spirit guide you, because this is how we learn that we can trust ourselves. It's like, oh, look, spirit led me to this, and it worked out. I liked it. And one thing leads to another thing, leads to another thing, leads to another thing. And that's how we live our bliss. We don't live from this logical, analytical mind strategizing. That's, first of all, boring and it's tiresome. And we live more from the creative mind, the creative genius, the spiritual sovereignty that is your birthright, is you're able to become the energy of love, to give of love, to become what you want, to have what you want. Spirit says, that's my gift to you, but there's a belief that you really can't have it. And that's the problem. It's like because of what you've gone through and what you've been conditioned and the environment that you've been conditioned. So those were real. However, they created an imprint, they created neurological pathways, they've created like real, like I said, conditioning. So you have to recondition. And that's through, again, getting a better body mind connection, do breath work, do tapping, do, again, what calls to you. Better connection to the physical body helps you get a better connection to the physical world, meaning when you go out into the world, you're not going to have anxiety, you're not going to overthink, you're going to, again, and to have a focus on, hey, this is what I want, this is what I'm trying to create, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, and you're putting your time and your energy, you show up for yourself every day. Life happens. And then you give a certain amount of energy to those other people, but otherwise you're going to give too much. So it's like I said, I don't predict the future because, again, in this reality, you wouldn't have liked your prediction because you'd say it was all fear. When I read the email, it was all fear. It was all, will it happen? So, again, yes, it will happen if you put the energy to it the proper way. So you have to say, this is how it's going to happen, the language that you use, and you have a plan and you set yourself up for success. And understand, everybody doesn't believe it. You fake it till you make it. This is where we start. It doesn't mean that you know what you're doing. Understand, you put it out there the best way you know how. That's part of feeling like a child. It's like children don't really know how to be a fireman. It's like, or know how to be like anything, but they pretend, they element it. It's like that's what you're doing, and then the more that you do it, the more you are called to learn different ways and different styles and then you find your own way. And when you actually find your own unique individuality, because understand there's only so many jobs. There's a million psychics out there, but everybody does it differently. There's a million healers out there, but everyone does it differently. It's, again, so finding your unique individual style, which it's your excellence, because God says, well, only I'm perfect. So we shoot for excellence around here. And so your excellence is going to attract the people that are supposed to be in your life. And that is where those are your people. That is your tribe. That is how you know. And it takes some time. But the more that you do it, mastery comes in doing. It's like you become it, you become it, you become it. And the more that you become, this new person emerges, that old person dies. And part of that old person dying is the people that weren't supportive, that treated you like less than, or projected a lot, or wanted to see you in their their level of consciousness are forced to see you differently. Because spirit says, well, I display my glory. Because understand, people are going to say, no, I known this person since the third grade. And you know what they did in the third grade? They stole my pencil. They're a thief. I mean, people like walking around with like visit your past more than you do, and have perceptions and say, I like to feel more superior. That's why I like to tell that story about the pencil. They don't say that, but that's why they're doing it. They want to see I'm superior. Look how important. So they project. So the universe will again display the glory of who you are to those people, because you saying, hey, listen, I'm not that person anymore. They're like not going to get you anywhere. You can have a conversation, say, look at me, treat me this way, respect me. I'm this person now. People are committed to seeing, so don't even try. You have to again find your people again, and that's by becoming. That's what gives you that foundation. So we see the first and the second chakra really work really close together. And understand it's the strangers that are going to cheer for you the loudest. It's the way that it is, because you can't get healed in the place that you got sick. It's people again, if they don't believe in themselves, you come from wounded parents, they're not going to see that you can do better. It's like, and you can do the greatest, but it's they're wounded. So it's like, you don't waste your time saying, this is who I am. Believe me, they will see if you stay on your path, like I said, because people are not going to want to change their perception. You're going to deal with it, but you need that support. And that's what and the support is, hey, I'm interactive in my passions and creating myself. I'm meeting the people. It resonates. Relationships is something that happens over time. Trust is something that happens over time. You're balanced. You're focused on what you're creating. So you're not giving too much to anybody. You're not letting someone all of a sudden, well, listen, I met somebody at the second time at the art fair, and they told me that they need a place to live. Now they're living with me. That would never happen. It's like, but if you're an island to yourself and you're needy, that's when you meet predators. People that say, well, I see that you really want someone to love you, so I'm going to come on really like showing you how much I love you. When really it's like, no, what you love is, you love my resources, you love other things. So you weed out all that, because when you're strong, that means you're not going to be so like, okay, yeah, that's okay. You can just come over when you feel like it. No, you have boundaries. I'm not always around. Someone that's a narcissist says, you're too difficult. I have to go for someone that is good, really good, but doesn't know their worth. That's who I have to go for. That's what the narcissist says. And so you have to be like, I don't have time for you. It's like, because narcissists will get tired, and only if unless you like give up what you're doing, like say you stop like interacting, then it's kind of like a safety, because emotionally you're still getting fed, so that person doesn't have as much power, because narcissists use emotion, psychological and emotional, to manipulate, so you wouldn't be easily manipulated. Most people aren't fulfilled in life, and they just want to give love, and they just want that, and that's how they wind up in a relationship like that, where they're like, I always get somebody that doesn't give me love in back, because there's a belief that it can't happen. If you have already went through it before, you know what it feels like. How do you manifest? Through the thoughts that you think, the emotions that you have, and here it is, you're held on to this emotional vibration, which is this imprint from that experience, traumatic experience, that's now radiating out into the world. So now you're just a magnet for more of that energy. So you have to, like, again, counteract the energy, is what I'm trying to say. And you can do that if you raise your energy. It's like it is possible to heal, but you have to again, like, do some things. So that's my recommendation for you, and that's your reading. So will you find love again? Yeah, if you do what I tell you to do. It's like, because it's not that you wouldn't ever find love, but you want to pull someone that to you that is going to respect you and love you and honor you and treat you, give you the love that you say, well, this is the type of love that I resonate with. You don't want someone that's so broken and says, well, I think that love is being obsessive to you, where I'm like Mr. Stalker or Mrs. Stalker, where like it's like, no, and that's crazy. That's not love. That's like passion, that's ego, that's, you want someone that's going to give you that nice unconditional love, that and that happens when you again are becoming yourself and loving yourself. And it's very easy to look for the answer outside of yourself. Believe me, we all do it at one time, and we all get stuck in stupid, and we all have that fear. But spirit says it's all about, like, going through similar experiences, if not the same experiences, over and over and over again, but handling it differently. And each time that you're handling it, you're supposed to be handling it better. In order to see that you are the expression of spirit. If you are, there's no separation from God, and God is all knowing. It means that you are down here to be able to go through that experience in a way that it doesn't affect you. Whatever happens, that you never sway from the energy of unconditional love, which is impossible. We say that. We're like, what are you kidding? Have you met my mother-in-law? Are you kidding me? Have you met? And Spirit says, yeah, that's what it is. You're dealing with broken people, wounded people. And the key is not to lower your standard, to stay at the high vibration, to be the expression of love, so you can be a magnet of love, and that you can go through these experiences, traumatic experiences, and not feel like you're broken, and not feeling, which that will only happen when you say you're not broken, but from going through the experience, you formed a habit and a behaviorism. And it's that habit and that behaviorism that one time was survival, emotional survival, psychological survival. But now it's stunting you, it's blocking you from abundance. And that's what happens with a person like yourself, the person that got won the reading. That's how you grew up. And because you grew up that way, that, like, those are the karmic themes that continue. But you're the master of your life, but you have to again, like, recondition it all. And that means showing up for yourself, and, like I said, focusing on really recreating yourself, and better body mind connection, better connection to hearing spirit too. And that's all through these spiritual practices, which I mentioned. Okay, let me see. Questions, anybody? Questions? Okay. It surprises me when people slide out of one relationship into the next and the next. I need time to recover and heal. I know my work. This past year was a lesson and reminder to not be complacent. Well, the thing is, it's like, I think people are lonely. People are lonely, and they say, well, I just want companionship. But the truth of the matter is if people would join more things, they would meet more people, and they would actually have more companionship. But it's not really companionship which people, like, think that they need. it's really emotional fulfillment. And that's what I noticed. It's again, it's that second chakra. Look at these crazy glasses. Like, what do you guys think of them? You think that they're crazy looking? I'm like, if I have to wear them, I'm like, I'm gonna get the most outlandish looking glasses. Um, you know, that's that's what it is. I think that it's like people are just, they're lonely, and emotionally they're hungry, and a lot of people are really afraid that they can't be in a relationship, that it's just not possible because they've already dated and they say this is all that's out there, and it's like this is all. But in the fact that they don't change, nothing will change. And that was the whole point of tonight's reading for my winner. um she was very concerned because of relationship, and just not happy. Like, is it ever going to happen? Am I ever going to like meet somebody? Am I healed enough for love? Am I ever going to gain money? Am I ever going to, thank you. Is it ever going to happen? Is it ever, like, when a person talks like that, like, it's fearful. And I have to tell you, it wasn't until really late did I realize. I used to sit at a table with a bunch of psychics, and they weren't really healed, but they were my friends nevertheless. And the conversations would always start with, "Do you think? Do you think? Do you think?" And they would always want me to read them, and vice versa. And "Do you think? Do you think? Do you think?" And then one day I sat at a different table, and the conversation was, should we take the boat from Greece to Italy for the wedding, or should we, again, like, I think that that's what I'm going to do. And I'm like, literally, like, it was a bunch of people. We're going to a wedding, and the wedding was in Italy. It was actually in the Vatican. And they were invited, and they were like going overseas, and they were like, so what Spirit showed me after that, so did you see the difference between the two conversations? Those people, do you think everything's fearful? They're not in their bodies. They're not making anything happen. They don't really believe that it can happen. They're asking you. So there's all fear. Where the people that I'm friends with that were going to the wedding, because I'm friends with everybody. So it's like these other crowds of people that I hang out with, um, they all own their own businesses. They all go away on vacation several times a year. They make a lot of money. They're living life, and it's like two totally different ways of being. The confidence that one set of friends had compared to the other set of friends, and their lives matched it completely. And so it's hard. Thank you, Kim. And that's what it is. It's because it's scary. It's like, because it's like we live in an environment where, like, there's no spiritual healing. So of course you're going to go through a traumatic experience and say, well, I'm going to be cautious and I'm going to look out for that. We don't realize then we're going into a relationship and we're actually looking for what we don't want to happen, and we wind up attracting what we don't want to happen. And then we're like, I knew that that was going to happen. It always happens. And so it's, again, it brings us back to, you don't want to make, like, life a self-fulfilling prophecy, where it's scary, because again, when we go through traumatic experiences, it's not like you haven't conditioned your body to feel that type of anxiety. We hold that anxiety in our body. We hold that. So, like I said, doing the healing modalities actually helps you to release that energy, helps you to recondition the body and mind. And when you have to do it a lot, and you like doing it, and you say, well, why did I have to? Usually it brings you to your soul's purpose, because you say, well, I can relate. I know what that feels like. And that's what people want to work with. They want to work with people that say, you know, that person actually knows what it feels like. I don't want to talk to the person that doesn't know what it feels like. It makes me feel inadequate. But this person that feels, it's like, I feel safe. I feel, and so again, it helps to connect, empathy, sensitivity. And that's really what it is. Again, being the expression of love by expressing that love through, again, your craft. So it all is interconnected, as you can see how the chakras all work together. Yeah, yeah, like you never have to be afraid. Like never be afraid. It's like, again, that, and understand that it's nothing that we all haven't gone through. You know, anyone that says that they haven't gone through it is a liar. We all have spiritual blocks. Every single person has spiritual blocks, that we're down here to learn. And unfortunately, we learn through pain. We learn the most through pain, because we say, why did that happen? Why did that happen? And but if we can integrate the spiritual lesson, we find our gifts. We always find our gifts. It leads us to it. To it. We just have to, again, invest in ourselves. And we're like, I'm tired. And but that would be a normal feeling also to feel, because of the adrenals. Like, I'm just tired. I just don't feel like it. However, the more that you interact in life and do for yourself, the more energy you will have, the more you balance out your energy. So you can, again, part of the I'm tired, I don't have the energy, is because I don't really see a way out. I don't really ever see it being any different. I'm just, so it really is a faith walk sometimes by the time that we begin to start, meaning like, I like you're really saying I'm doing it out of desperation, because a lot of times we don't see it. And so that's why I'm saying it's not about, it's a faith walk. And it's to really, life isn't really as difficult as they try to make it. Like, they try to scare us, and they try to control us, and through the media and through all other different things. I mean, and they've been doing it way before this. I mean, with soda and like at the movies, for crying out loud, before, trying to brainwash you, you're thirsty, like, it's time to go get that $10 soda, uh they've been doing it since the beginning of time. So this is what we're up against. So, and so we compare in our perceptions. And so the key is to find our balance. And the only way to find balance is really to become ourselves. And that sounds crazy, because that's not what we're told. We're told, you know, when you're 15, 16 years old, you're going to take that SAT, you got to get like a 1450 on it. And you need to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life by the time you're in eighth grade. That's a lot of pressure, for an eighth grader. And what the hell do you know when you're in eighth grade? You haven't lived, but you're making life decisions in eighth grade. And most of us were like, I didn't take it that seriously back then. Well, how was I supposed to know I was supposed to take it that seriously? Like in eighth grade, we didn't know. We weren't geared for it. So part of this is again realizing that it really, that you have all the tools that you need for success, whether you went to college, you didn't go to college, whatever your path was, and it's never too late. That life is all about evolving. Does anyone have any questions? Sarah, do you have a question? I see you retracted your message. Or maybe you just said hello. I don't know. You might have just said hi. If not, if no one has any other questions, I am going to sign off. Well, actually, like maybe I'm going to pull, maybe I'm going to pull just a few cards, because I didn't pull any cards. I just channeled. And the reason why I channeled was because there was a lot of spiritual blocks in that, just from reading the letter. And I had to explain a lot. The genius. And the genius is the higher self, and that's the creative part of the mind. So, again, the creative genius. Thank you, Kim. You know, the genius is the higher self. The creative mind is the intuitive mind. So, Spirit's saying pretty much to start there. I wanted to just pull 3 messages, and that's merciless forgiveness, meaning you asked, also, I forgot, the person said, have I forgiven? I think the truth of the matter is that we don't really forgive until we see ourselves different 100%. I believe that it's that person's karma. It's like, so it's like, if you're saying, like, I've gone through a traumatic experience where someone hurt you, and now you're like, I just feel like ever since that relationship, I've never been able to date ever again. Like it's been bad relationship after bad. Like I feel like the person put a curse on me. I feel like the person did something. Now I'm not the same. Now I have anxiety. Now I can't relax. Well, it's that Spirit saying you haven't forgiven because that is there. You feel like you're affected somehow, that person did something to you, where you're like, yeah, well, that experience made me have anxiety. So the Spirit says, so heal it, recondition it. It's like there's a sense of, well, I don't want to have to do it. The Spirit says, well, you don't know what it's going to lead you to. You're just looking at now. It's a time that I have, and it's like, why bother? Spirit says, everything is put on your path. Every situation is put on your path to help you revert back to your natural, unconditional love energy. That's what your energy is, unconditional love. It's the energy of the universe. So everything is placed there. So when we need merciless forgiveness, it might mean like the person doesn't need to really deserve to be forgiven, right? As like the person is like mercy. They deserve mercy because they don't really deserve it. And so Spirit says, but if we're going to go from the highest level of consciousness, which is unconditional love doesn't hold the score. Unconditional love forgives. Unconditional love is compassionate. Unconditional love is all these higher levels of consciousness, which is considered the Christ consciousness, which, again, this is how we have to be. And it's so we can say, well, I'm sorry, I just can't do that because, listen, I forgive, or we can say, I forgive, but, and Spirit says, only until you embody the new consciousness and see yourself differently have you 100% forgiven, Spirit says. Otherwise, you haven't forgiven. That's that person's karma. And that's why I'm saying, when you said, am I ready for love? Because in the one of their questions, am I ready for love? No, you're not ready for love. Because you would go back, you would do the same thing that you did before, because that's not 100% healed. Now, do you have to wait until you're 100% healed? No, Spirit says you should be at least on your path, though, feeding it, giving and receiving of love to yourself, becoming yourself. As the path opens, you begin to heal yourself more and more and more because you're seeing yourself differently more and more and more. And then you're able to really forgive and let go, because otherwise we don't let go of that anger. We can wear that pain like armor, like it's a protective armor, where really it's the barrier that blocks us from love. So Spirit says, not until you're on the path, because Spirit says the universe, which is Spirit, is going to bring you the people, the situations, and the experiences that help you heal. It's like you're not in charge of it. You're just in charge of becoming yourself. And to become the energy of love by doing what you love is what Spirit's saying. That's the only thing that you're in charge of. You're trying to control other things. Spirit says you're not in control of anything. And you say, well, why can't I just have Bob over there? I think he's good looking. I would like him to come in to give me some healing. And Spirit says, no, I'm not bringing Bob. I'm going to bring this person. And you're like, Marianne, why are you bringing Marianne? I don't want Marianne to come into my healing. And Spirit says she has the ingredients that needs for healing. You're not in charge of how we get there. My plan's better than yours. Spirit says you need Marianne. Why do I need Marianne? Well, Marianne told you about that healing class and told you about this class and that place to go and because you did that, it took you to this other certification. And then you met these people.